Welcome brothers to another Warhammer video. Today we're checking out the Emperor's Thunder Warriors. Now I did have a few questions on these guys when we checked out the Custodes video, because I've heard a few things about them and I wanted to learn a bit more. So somebody sent me this video to clear up my questions from Arch Warhammer. Of course we know all about him by now. This video is only 11 minutes long. It's a shorter video, but because there's a few longer videos coming out soon, this will be a nice little break from the extremely long lore videos that we are doing. But yeah, let's get into this video.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to yet more Warhammer 40k lore. Today we're going to be looking at the Thunder Warriors. Because before we can really start describing in detail the sheer ass-kickery of the mighty Adeptus Astartes, their legions, and eventually their chapters, we need to have a look at their origins. Although, granted, origins isn't really the correct word here, since the modern Adeptus Astartes have about as much in common with the Thunder Warriors as I have with Brad Pitt. We both possess 2 arms and 2 legs and the ability to piss standing up, but beyond that there's not much in the way of similarities. In many ways, you could even say that the Thunder Warriors were a flawed product. Perhaps they were, and perhaps that was no accident. But it is important to remember that the Thunder Warriors were made to win a very different sort of war from that of their shiny younger brothers. To put it simply, the Adeptus Astartes were designed to conquer, and more importantly, to hold the galaxy. This, quite naturally, means they would have to be an extremely flexible force, suited to fighting in all manners of alien and outlandish conditions, not to mention that they would have to be able to do so while getting shot at by equally alien and outlandish natives, most of which would be highly hostile due to the Imperium's policy of murdering them all. On the other hand, the Thunder Warriors were designed to pacify Terra. No small task, mind you, considering it had once been the capital of a highly advanced interstellar republic of sorts, and literal tons of old, but extremely violent technology was spread across the planet, and with the rapid degradation of social and moral norms, all of this firepower quickly ended up in the hands of anyone with the power to get them and the will to use them. Which, by the way, resulted in several nuclear wars, leaving the planet a less than verdant place. So there are some environmental concerns to be had, but they are fairly basic and uniform compared to the idea of galactic warfare, where you might fight a species of aliens that have decided that they prefer to walk on the roof rather than the floor, or a bunch of aliens that have decided that they have a fondness for breathing methane instead of oxygen. The primary problem on Earth, then, would be all of those fur-clothed savages with plasma rifles and nukes, and power armor, and tanks, and psychic powers, and all kinds of Dark Age tech. Yeah, unifying Terra might be the first step, but that does not make it an easy one. And that leads us to another quite noticeable difference between Thunder Warriors and Astartes. The Thunder Warriors were a hell of a lot stronger. Not quite as agile, due to the simple fact that they are quite literally massive slabs of pure muscle that makes grown men look like undernourished prima ballerinas.
Pretty much.
But the lack of dexterity is more than made up for by the sheer mind-numbing levels of violence they're capable of. If a Space Marine punches you in the face, your head will essentially be a wet balloon with some bone shards inside. But if a Thunder Warrior takes offense at your countenance, your head will no longer trouble your body with its incessant thinking nonsense, because the head will be in a steady orbit around Saturn. Okay, slight hyperbole, but it's not like someone who just got their head punched clean off is going to care, now is it? But I hear you scream fruitlessly at your computer. That doesn't seem like much of a drawback, Arch. Why didn't the Emperor just stick with these man-apes instead of the more effete Space Marines?
Man-apes.
Well, you see, the Thunder Warriors, as mentioned, were certainly superior to the Astartes when it came to good old-fashioned fisticuffs and indeed in most physical means, but they had a few teensy-weensy flaws.
Let's try and guess these flaws, because I know a few. Apart from their violent tendencies. Apparently, apart from being mentally unstable, their bodies would break down after a while and they wouldn't be able to live for so long. So they were ineffective, and that's about it. So let's continue.
One of these flaws was their complete and utter lack of any emotion besides rage. This slight behavioural problem did, as you can probably imagine, make them somewhat unsuited for garrison duty, because they had a nasty habit of brutalising to death the civilian population. This rather complicated the Emperor's plan to use his super warriors for administrative duties when the galaxy was fully conquered, although it would certainly have been fun to watch the Thunder Warrior engage in debate with various planetary representatives by simply bludgeoning to death anyone that disagrees.
That would be so funny, man. That would be so funny. Could you imagine that? Like, it's in those days, and they're having a debate on whether or not they should try and conquer this part of the galaxy, and then the Thunder Warriors just disagreeing. No, we should not fucking conquer that. Bang! Dead. Just gone. No one's going to disagree with you anymore. Let's put it that way. Once you crush a few skulls in their equivalent of whatever, you know, their little parliament thing. Once you crush a few skulls in there, they ain't going to disagree with you anymore.
It would probably prove to be a less than entirely productive system. Besides these occasional psychopathic bouts of extreme violence and anger, the Thunder Warriors also had some problem with simply staying alive. The Thunder Warriors were never meant to be a permanent solution, and so some of their internal workings were not entirely top-notch. When you add on the fact that they are already pushed way beyond the capabilities of humanity, you end up with a marginally unstable creature with a nasty habit of falling over dead. Granted, this was probably a deliberate design decision from the Emperor's side, so this slight inconvenience can't be blamed on him, although we still don't know for sure whether or not the volatile nature of the Thunder Warriors was a deliberate safety mechanism, or the simple fact that they were pretty much the Emperor's first foray into mass-produced super soldiers, and as such you would expect some bugs. Alternatively, it could also be a side effect of the fact that Thunder Warriors were not purely physical warriors. Because here's the thing.
That's true. They were like the alpha test, bro, of superhumans. And then, you know, they have, obviously, the Primarchs are like the finished article, bro. They are like the best. And then you have Custodes, and then you have the rest, really. And then you have these dudes.
Adeptus Astartes have a greater than normal resistance to psychic attack and or subversion than normal humans. But the Thunder Warriors were far more resistant than even Adeptus Astartes, and generally speaking, when you start messing with the warp and the powers that come from it and resist it, there is an above average chance of a fuck-up or 3. Little issues like bouts of extreme violence and sudden death aside, though, the sheer physical power of the Thunder Warriors and the Emperor's direct leadership, as well as his diplomatic prowess, eventually brought about the unification of Terra. It took decades and claimed the lives of millions, if not billions, but with Terra secured, the Emperor's great work could finally begin. But before we get that far, there was one last problem to deal with. It would appear that the Emperor had done too good a job with the Thunder Warriors. Official Imperial history states that the last Thunder Warrior died while planting the flag of unification in the corpse of the last Separatist on Terra. Reality, however, is rarely so picturesque. The Thunder Warriors did indeed quell the last bastion of separatism on Terra, but they didn't all die doing so. It is impossible to estimate with any certainty how many Thunder Warriors were left at the end, seeing as the Imperium as a whole did its level best to ensure that there were none left, and that no one would ever think that there were any left, but we do know that there were some, and we do know that some were too many for the Emperor's plans. The remaining Thunder Warriors were destroyed, and while again information on this topic is rather limited, it seems a safe bet to assume that this action was undertaken by the Emperor's Custodian Guard. The Custodians could be relied upon to turn on their former comrades without question, and perhaps even more importantly, they could be relied upon to keep their mouths shut about it afterwards. The new Adeptus Astartes...
That's the best guys to take care of the job, because they have 100% loyalty to the Emperor. They're his guard, and they're pretty much the best you can get. They're pretty much the best you can get right there. They have an advantage over the Thunder Warriors, so yeah, no problems there.
These were after all meant to be a more permanent solution, but if they learned of the fate of their predecessors, they might start to question their own permanency, with all the unfortunate complications that such questioning would undoubtedly bring. Speaking of complications, it would once again appear that the Emperor was too good of a hobby chemist for his own good. Some of the Thunder Warriors managed to break out of the cordon set up by the Custodes and go into hiding. A truly remarkable feat, both of strength and cunning, to not only get out of the trap in the first place, but then to stay hidden from the Emperor's Praetorians. Granted, Earth is a big place, but the Custodians make organizations like the Gestapo or NKVD look like brain-damaged children playing with their father's binoculars.
Oh my.
They are very good at finding and pacifying people the Emperor has developed a dislike of, and yet we know that during the heresy there were several Thunder Warriors living in hiding on Terra, and some sources even suggest that some of them may have survived the heresy itself, and remain at large in the galaxy to this very day. And considering their flaws, this is not merely a feat of astounding subterfuge, but of strength and willpower as well. It would be comparable to a terminal cancer patient not only staying ahead of and hidden from a globe-spanning secret police, but also staying alive while doing it. There are even rumors that suggest that some of these remaining Thunder Warriors have been able to cure themselves of some of their flaws.
That'd be crazy. That'd be some Walter White-esque stuff, man, from Breaking Bad. Like, he had cancer and he was still cooking meth. But, you know, that's crazy.
Granted, there are no indication whatsoever that these violent psychopath part has been fixed, but at the very least, the dying to death part must, if not fixed, then at the very least have been treated in some way. Or perhaps it was, after all, an accidental flaw, and simply affected some more than others. Who can say? Regardless, the warriors who delivered terror to the Emperor and effectively started the Grand Crusade have long since been consigned to the mist of history, never to be heard from again. Unless, of course, in their quest to cure themselves, they find a way of making more of themselves. Only time will tell. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon.
That's crazy, because they have so many design flaws, so they're not like regular Space Marines. They can't live for hundreds of years without dying, right? So how have they managed to live for thousands of years by healing themselves? That's a bit mad that some of them have allegedly survived that long. But yeah, man, thank you all for watching this video, man. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.